Right, welcome to John Doyle's View on YouTube, and this next one is probably the most difficult one I have to do, and that is on love. And that takes up a lot of my poems, well, other than death, depression and loss. But love is one of the main things in the poems, because I consider love to be one of the greatest gifts. And a lot of people, I think, actually take it for granted and abuse love a lot. Well, in my view anyway, of how love should be, because modern day love, I think I wrote a poem about that, actually several, how people neglect each other and, move from one person to the next, to the next, to the next. Actually, that's mentioned in The Passenger as well, especially the young generation. But it's not only exclusively to the young generation, also. But my idea of love is when you, and it's probably because I've come from quite a stable household where my parents are still married, and that idea of unity, of give and take, I think that's the main reason for a lot of breakups and a lot of failed loves, is the fact that people, humans in general, are very self-orientated anyway, but they often want a lot of things, and they often see past the heart that they want these things from, and if that person can't give them, then that's usually when these cracks start to appear. They're not truly in love, as I would see love being, when you're truly in love, and that you would sacrifice, and you try to do as much as possible, and in the give and take, that's the main thing. I'm not really expressing this very well, am I? It's very difficult to express, isn't it? A lot of my poems, that's the ideal that I have, where you have a man and a woman, and they love each other completely, and it doesn't matter what lackings each of them have, whether it's disabilities, seen or unseen, whether it's financial or whatever, that they still, what is more important to each of them is the heart, and that it's together. And that's the main thing that's in a lot of my poems when it comes to these things, whether it's Cold Winter's Dawn, or what was the other one called, As Far As I Can See, stuff like that. It's and that seems to be what's missing from a lot of relationships. They're in, what should be important between them is the heart of each of them, and it should be seen as something gentle and something precious and something that you have to give and take for. But a lot of them see the outside things, such as money, such as their needs, desires, wants, and all these types of things. And a lot of these, like people, you hear like arguments between couples where, one of them will want to go and watch football, say, and say the woman, if we say in this generalised view, the woman won't want him to go and watch football. Whereas my view of love is that you would want to be with the person, you'd want to be with the heart. You'd sacrifice all the outside things because you want that person's heart. Of course, it probably comes from my background in the sense that if you've had lots of different partners and people and whatever, and different loves, then maybe you become, it weakens down for you. I don't know. Whereas in my point of view, it's not been like that. It's been very sparse. So therefore, I've grown this idea of love being such a precious gift, and that's what is detailed in a lot of the poems. And there's a lot of emotion in the poems, and that's also a bit why you get the darker side of my poems. I know it doesn't quite make sense, but imagine if you have this greatest gift, and there is nothing you can do with it, or no way you can give or take from one heart to the other. Then obviously you start to look at the world as, why is this thing like this? Am I giving too much a we here? And that's probably why you get, and also because of the state of the world as well, that's probably why you get some of the downbeat poems, and a lot of the, where there be star-crossed lovers who never quite make it. and that's probably the reason for that as well. And so I believe that love should be warm and gentle and romantic, and about, you see in poor countries, this is the thing, you see in poor countries that you'll have a couple that have their clothes, they struggle to find food and whatever, and yet they are so in love with each other, and they would do anything to be with that person, and they're not worried about these external outside things, and they speak so nicely to each other and so loving. Whereas you get here, you have someone together, they have everything, they have maybe a house or a flat, or at least some kind of abode that's better than these poor people have, and they have no problem with food, and they have free medicine and a job and all this type of stuff, and yet it's not good enough for them. And that I notice a lot. I notice that a lot in people. That it's also, I think love is connected also to kindness, because you get a lot of people who will only do kind acts to those that they know, and I think that limits the heart in the way that it can love, because it will love that, it will do the same thing, it will love that person as much as they are around, as much as they keep them on the good side, and then as soon as something goes wrong, that's it, they start saying what maybe their heart really thinks, or what their heart is capable of thinking, because they're not quite complete in the roundness of their heart, and that it's not quite gentle enough, it's not loving to all. If you're loving to all, then you can always be loving to one, but if you're not loving to all, can you always be loving to one? That's the thing I tend to find. So that's my view on love. I think it is the great, because so many times people use flirtation and all sorts of other things just to obtain love, just to make themselves feel better, not thinking of other people. And it seems these days that love is not important to most people, that they don't really care about it. They'd rather have, if you ask, this is maybe the difference between me and other people generally. If you ask other people, what do you really want in life? They will say, well, I'd love a holiday, or I'd love a really beautiful car, or I'd like to own Arsenal Football Club, or I'd like to, I don't know, do a round the world yacht tour or whatever, or own a big mansion, or win the lottery, or £1 billion, have my own business, whatever. You ask me what I really want in life, and this will always be the same, and it's love. A soulmate, that someone who actually really loves you, despite everything, any kind of weaknesses, any kind of outside things, still loves you and shows that love. Now, I wrote this in one poem, probably as The Passenger, I'm not quite sure, that how that is probably the most difficult thing to find. You've probably got more chances of winning the lottery than finding that kind of love, where it's real love, where it is about the person and not about outside things, because a lot of people are clouded by all these outside things. Anyway, I've had a good try expressing that view. I probably haven't done it great justice, but it gives you a sort of idea of where the more love aspects come in my poems and my view upon that. Anyway, thank you very much, and take it easy. Peace on this one, that one, whichever.